announcer, Shannon Saint Mainframe, welcoming you to our IP Livecast. Inside Scoop. I heard Tim Lambesis has been reflecting and has decided to finally dress up for Halloween. He's really going to kill it with his costume this year. Actually, based on his track record, maybe he won't quite get there. Our IP Livecast starts now.
I get it.
He's gonna almost kill it. And then get caught.
He's gonna attempt to kill it.
Tim Lambesis, that is.
Welcome to RIPL Livecast. It's Rob here with Sid and Darren. We are live Saturdays, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Only at RIPLivecast.com. Well, not only, we're also live on Twitch and YouTube. We're not only, we're very inclusive of
Facebook.
We're live on Facebook as well. That's right.
Most people who have Facebook are barely alive, so that's a different thing.
Are we on Spank Bang?
No, we're not.
Damn it, Rob! Come on, get that application in.
And of course, I want to mention, if you're listening to the recorded version of the show, you can always send us your feedback. Send us a little note about how you're feeling after something we said to riplivecast@gmail.com, or join us in our Discord chat. Go to riplivecast.com, click the invite to the Discord, and boom, you're in there with us, with fellow livecasters and livecast stations from all around the globe, talking about the latest memes, posting political takes, posting terrible food and good food.
We have
Lots
two
of fun
separate
stuff.
channels for food. We have food and shitty food.
Yes, to separate the good from the bad.
Just so you know what I mean. Just so you want to look at a nice shrimp tower or some delicious dessert, you don't want some haladiets right next to it.
Yeah,
Like,
only Rob.
Yeah,
wants
we
that.
separate that.
all right.
Rob has the 2-screen experience, so he can get both at the same time. Everybody else has it separated.
But yeah, let's get right into it, though, with the news of the week. And earlier in the week, maybe on Monday or Tuesday, all these headlines on metal news publications started popping up. Tim Lambesis reflects on trying to hire a hitman to murder his wife. And I don't know. I feel like the headline structure doesn't quite work in a situation such as this. Like, reflects is kind of undercutting.
Yeah. It's like he put out
going on?
It's like a great artist that put out a less than successful album.
Right. That's what you reflect on. Yes. Reflects on critical response to such and such album. That's a proper use of the term reflect.
This wasn't one of my best attempted murders. I've had better, and my heart just wasn't all the way in it.
O.J. Simpson reflects on visiting Nicole Brown the night of her murder. Like,
Well,
what?
I mean, he put out a whole book.
Yeah,
He actually did.
But okay, so Tim Lambesis. So to be clear, we covered this as it was in real time on the show, so you can go back, and it's crazy how long it's been. I was going back to my coverage on of it because
were you reflecting on your coverage,
I
right?
was reflecting. Yeah. I was reflecting on my coverage and thinking about how much of my rent Tim Lambesis paid with his dumb actions.
Let me ask you this question. If he was successful in having his wife killed, do you think you personally would have profited more from that or the same? Less?
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, less, because he would have never gotten out. And then there wouldn't be the continued narrative of like all of this dumb shit that's happening since he's been released.
That's fair.
He wouldn't be reflecting constantly.
Yeah,
he would, but like Rob's not going to do a jailhouse interview,
right?
So he wasn't getting that content.
Well, Zoom, maybe.
Do they have that in prisons? Can a prisoner Zoom?
I think they do now.
Like
yeah,
10 minutes a week or something.
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but it seems logical. They let you talk on the phone. Why couldn't you?
Maybe it's just Skype.
Right. It has to be shitty. You can't it can't be good quality video. That's a good compromise.
Yeah.
Also, he wouldn't have set himself on fire, Rob, probably. If he
Oh,
was
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like there's all that fun stuff, and also he wouldn't have had the thing with the lack of steroids. And I guess that could have been happened.
No, that
anyway.
would have forever been an
Yeah,
issue.
it might have been even worse because he wouldn't have been able to have the plastic surgery later. Which we'll
But
talk
he
about.
might have been able to escape by like tying his tits to the window bars and climbing down like Rapunzel style.
His bitch
Oh
tits.
my god!
Yeah, he'd
All
be
right.
free right now. That
We have a
imagine
lot of
that
amateur.
story.
We have a lot of amateur Photoshop artists as our listeners. Somebody.
Deuterino.
Rob, what if Tim Lambesis was in this somehow just by coincidence in the same cell with bitch tits from your camp,
Oh no!
and they just made a tight braid of tits to climb down?
What is more likely is that one of them would try to like get past the other one to like use the toilet or something, and their tits would get tangled,
Yeah,
and then they'd need to get the guards in to like untie the knotted tits.
and then the guards would have like a meeting somewhere the next week. Like, who thought to put these two tits guys in the same cell? This could only make problems.
We
Like,
just-
someone's responsible for this.
Let's find the prison guard who killed Epstein and have him cut off these guys' floppity tits so we don't have to deal with this shit every week.
You think
Well, he doesn't have the floppity tits anymore. He cut them off himself. Lambesis.
Well, that's because he got out and he was able to do it. He would
Right.
have done that in prison. Rob, you're not taking this
sorry.
journey with us.
Alternate universe. Yeah.
Well-
By the way, if I would have told you like 5 to 10 years ago that Tim Lambesis would have something in common with Richard Pryor, would you ever believe that? But they both set themselves on fire.
Yeah,
It's like the
but I
last
mean,
person.
Lambesis did it in a way less fun way.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean,
Which, of
he's a
course.
way less fun guy.
Yeah, it's true.
That's for sure.
So I'm looking now, and the story broke May 7th, 2013.
Jeez.
We are
The murder
9.5 years. The arrest. The
Attempted
arrest.
murder story, right?
Yes, his arrest was on May 7th, 2013. 9.5 years ago. I'm blown away that we're almost at the 10-year anniversary. I hope there's a 10-year box set, 10-year Rockers React.
Oh my, well, that's the void you need to fill, Rob.
I have to say, now that we're 10 years in, this story like really took Metal Injection to the next level in terms of
Really?
traffic
That
and
much?
like like
Now,
I said, for
I'm not
all of
surprised.
2013 he paid my rent.
I'm not surprised. Like, this is my take on this. I'm not surprised that it was a popular story. I'm not surprised that it did very well. I am a little surprised that it was that much separated from all the other sensationalist stories.
Let me explain why. Because this was the type of story where a lot of, metal is a lot of niches and sub niches, and people don't necessarily read a story about a band they don't care about, or about a genre that they don't care about. But this is a story that you don't even need to be a metalhead to find interesting. It's just like soap opera gossip.
Tabloid, yeah.
So you
It's
got
a total-
non-metal fans to read this.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, so metalheads would share the story. And, if a metalhead, let's say, to put it into context, would share another story for Metal Injection, which would be either a funny video that we did or any other piece of news, their non-metalhead friends are just going to scroll past the story. But if they see frontman of a band arrested for trying to murder his wife, they don't care what the band sounds like. They want to
It's
be like, what the
hilarious.
fuck is this?
Yeah.
So it was that it's a unicorn of a story that falls into this. Like, I mean, this is a little gross. I fully, obviously the topic but it's a general interest story. And it wasn't just one post. This was a narrative that went on for years. It even, and like just the trial, like every little bit of news for the next 4 months would be the most visited story on the site that day or
like
that week.
It's like if a unicorn used its one horn to gore somebody
And
horribly.
missed. But we're still outraged that they even tried.
And the unicorn has bitch tits.
Shark Kitty 1 says, can't wait for all the kids to romanticize Lambesis. It's already happening. It happened like a week after he was arrested.
Yeah.
Like there was victim blaming. And even when he got out of jail and reunited the band, and they, in my opinion, completely mishandled the return of the band, people were already defending him and said that, he did his time. What more could he do? Like how could he, whatever. So, and it was funny how initially the band, they had no idea what was going on. And so their initial statement was, we're trying to get as many answers as we can. And right now our thoughts are with Tim, his family, and everyone else affected by this. And it's like, should you not be with
They
Tim?
probably didn't like his wife either, I guess.
No, they did like her. They all quit the band because of it. They all stood with her at the trial.
So when you say that the kids are going to romanticize Lambesis, is he the new Kurt Cobain of this generation?
Well, he's still alive though.
Right. That's where he screwed up.
Maybe he could be like the Charles Manson.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I don't
Or
even think
Gigi
it's
Allen.
like we're going to watch. So he was just interviewed on a podcast, and it was
Frankie
the first time
Palmieri?
no, Chris Garza from Suicide Silence.
Wow, so it's on both sides, it's former Livecast guests.
Yeah.
Well, Garza was never on the Livecast.
Oh, but some people from his band were.
Yes, but yeah, of all the members at Suicide Silence, when I first met Suicide Silence, he was the most introverted, and now he's the one with the podcast. So it's really funny how things change.
When is your episode?
He's a good host. I have yet to be invited, but I'm available, Chris. If you need me to
Does
fly
he like
out.
wrestling?
I'm not sure. I don't think he does.
Fuck that guy.
But so just as a quick recap, I think the best way to recap what happened, why don't we look at the Taiwanese news animation that came out at the time that he was arrested? I feel it's like the best way to just like quickly recap.
I want to preface this also by saying this was like some like service or web presence that would do this with every story. Like that was their gig, was they just made animations of every weird thing that happened in news, correct?
Yes.
Like that was their joke.
Yeah, and again, this was a big enough story that it reached that level of news, like CNN was picking up the story, and big outlets were. This was international news.
Tim Lambesis, the lead singer of metal band As I Lay Dying, was arrested in California on Tuesday for allegedly attempting to hire an undercover detective to murder his estranged wife. The heavy metal singer allegedly told a man at his gym on April 23rd that he
It's
wanted
Andy
to have his wife
Samberg.
killed.
Why is he talking to Andy Samberg? You should have known right away that guy's in Brooklyn. Works for Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's a cop.
Difficult for him to see their three adopted
Look
children.
at their interpretation of
Lambesis
his
next
tattoos.
tried to hire an undercover detective he believed
It's like
was a hitman,
Thailand
handing
writing.
over an envelope containing
Thai writing.
$1,000 in cash, his wife's address, and the security gate code. Lambesis pleaded not guilty to solicitation of murder on Thursday from behind a glass partition in a courtroom packed with supporters. The rocker's attorney claimed he had no intention of harming anybody and was the apparent victim of a setup
Love this
by the
photo.
man at the gym.
So that was it.
Oh, that wasn't as good as the other ones, though.
Yeah. There wasn't
But,
much to the story when they initially reported on it.
I love the Thai writing on his arm, though. That's so great. Or it's like, I want 8 pounds of steroids and 2 orders of pad ki mao, please.
Now I'm hungry. Damn it.
And so, and before we get to the interview, I do want to read this one little bit in reading about the story that I don't think we ever covered initially, which was, his estranged wife, his ex-wife, Megan Lambesis. She never really was interviewed or discussed this. Her only public statement which, as is her, I totally understand. Don't
Trying
get
to
me wrong.
keep a low profile, so in case he changes his mind and tries to
yeah, exactly. Like she has no social media. And the only public statement she made was at his sentencing hearing. And I don't think we went over this. She said, she was saying during her statement that Tim Lambesis' behavior changed in the months prior to his arrest, that he had bullied her. He had become, quote, dangerous. And reading a prepared statement, she claimed her life, quote, felt as fragile as a piece of paper that could float away at any moment.
Little did she know.
Megan explained to the court that Lambesis texted her the day before his arrest, asking for his children's social security numbers.
He has to borrow some bras too.
He is tying up some loose ends. She now believes he was fantasizing about killing her in advance.
Oh no!
Quoting a favorite line from the Arnold Schwarzenegger film Total Recall, where he shoots his wife and says, "Consider that a divorce."
So the way that's written, I can't tell if he quoted that or she quoted that in her speech.
Right, like that's
Which is it?
So I want to believe that he said to her, "Consider that a divorce."
Because wasn't he in a Schwarzenegger themed like side project?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it would make sense.
Yeah.
That he would say that, but then maybe that's what they bonded over when they first got together, is their mutual love of Schwarzenegger movies. So then maybe it was her that was saying that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was her that was saying it. I believe so.
There's no video of this.
No.
The statement wasn't filmed.
No, we have it.
No.
Here.
Remember, you can't grow without burning.
Oh, there it is.
Let me see. Let me do a quick. But I did a search before and I couldn't find it. No, nothing going on. So it is pretty. So eventually, though, weirdly, the rest of the band forgave him. Well, I know why.
Money. It's an audio
But the
medium.
basic-
Why don't you use your words? All right.
I'm making the hand symbol for money.
He's making the Jewish stereotype hand signal.
Yeah.
Wait, is this audio coming through?
No,
not really.
He's trying to ASMR being greedy.
Rub your beard on the mic. Maybe that accomplishes something.
Don't might turn me on. Sorry, don't do that. No, it doesn't.
All right. So eventually, now
Give it a
only
chance.
the drummer is left in the band. Everyone else left again. They were tired of his shit, which I think is pretty great. So he went on this Garza podcast, and unprovoked, he brings up the sitch.
Well, what was the
So-
question like? What have you been doing in your
They're
spare
talking.
time?
Well, they were talking about his faith because at the time he had lost his way.
Oh.
And he was
Right.
being blah, 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 so he was talking about that, and then through that transitioned in, because he was so lost, he was having these thoughts
All right,
of murder.
I get it. So his
So-
faith. He lost his. That's why you don't murder someone. It's because you have good faith.
Some
Yeah.
people.
Right.
So also, I do want to also say, like, as we watch this, it's very clear he is either continually having either plastic surgery or some sort of cosmetic work done to his face.
Yeah.
But his face looks very
Puffy.
Botoxed and fillered.
Yes.
He looks like one of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
He looks like he did when he was bloated from steroids, but the rest of him is not bloated from steroids anymore.
Yeah. So
I also like the Mitch Lucker rest
was-
in peace artwork.
just about to reference this. Can you take the fucking Mitch Lucker thing down while you're doing a podcast? Like, does your whole identity have to be the guy you were in a band with that died? And it's like another guy.
this is one of his best friends. It's
I
just hanging in
understand that.
his
Listen,
studio.
if it was hanging in his house or something, it's fine. But you're just a bad look. It's like you can't think about anything else while you're trying to do this podcast with another musician.
I look at it as that he probably feels like he owes all of his success to Mitch, and that he's always wanting to
Man.
pay tribute to him.
I don't know, man. That's a bummer. You really want, like, what if this guy tells a joke now or something? It's all right. It's Tim Lambesis, but let's say he has another guest that's actually funny, and he tells a joke, and I'm like, start to laugh, and I'm like, oh, that guy's dead. Like, it's not conducive to having an interview. I think.
I don't know.
For me, it's just like a walk down Livecast memory lane right here in this frame. You got Tim
Sure.
Lambesis, you got the guy that from Suicide Silence that we had on the show that died then.
Oh, it's great for us.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking for his. I'm trying to be his program director. A little bit. Big
So
bummer.
let's see. And I want to point out this is 45 minutes into the interview, so he's nice and loosened up.
Oh boy.
Oh, from Jin. No, from what?
You know, when my world sort of fell apart, like, you know, you have this person you talk to every day, you know, so some people say it's God, you know, I mean, another religion might have a different name for it, you know, whatever. And somebody, you wake up and you spend however many minutes or hours in the morning talking to this person, and all of a sudden
hours.
not a part
And
of
he
your
told
life
me to
anymore.
kill
And
my
you're like,
wife.
"Boss, you're
Well, no, his wife, when he stopped talking to him is when he decided to
Well,
kill
that's
himself.
what happened. He'd wake up every morning and talk to God, and his first question would be, God, is this the day I should have my wife killed? And God would always respond and say, no, not today. And then God stopped responding, so he's like, I guess
Guess it's
today's the
time.
day then. I guess.
And then God was pacing around on the cloud, and he's like, I know I fucking forgot to do something. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!
And then
Oh, shit.
that's how God fixed it, by then making the hitman an undercover
Yeah.
cop.
That's the best I can do, buddy. Sorry. you gotta do
T-Tam
some
says religious people really do believe if you don't have faith, there's nothing stopping you from murdering. If you don't have
Sure.
faith in God, you have no morals.
And I do-
there's
I gotta say,
Yeah.
I don't think they really believe that. I think that's like a backwards engineered reason why their stupid shit that they believe in, like, has to make like they need a reason that it's not silly in like today's world. So they say that if you don't do it, you're gonna murder. They know. I mean, they're not. Most of them are intelligent human beings. I mean, they know they just have this shit in them, so they have to say that. They know it makes no sense. I feel like on some level, they know because if you bring it up to them, well, would you be murdering if you weren't religious? And they most of the time, well, not me, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, fair.
they know.
Is there
Hello,
more to the
Tyler.
video, Robert?
your little like best friend, you know. And then I've also lost that deep connection with my bandmates, and I went through a divorce, and you know, everything was changing in my life.
I bet you did.
And what I didn't know what was really important to me at that time, but I think, and some of this stuff I'm not even really able to technically talk about. So I'll just say it in these terms, that for any person who's, let's just say a person is a father and they're confused about what really matters to them in life. It becomes obvious to them that everything else in their life can change, but being a father is still their identity, is still what's most important to them. And so a father's relationship with his children, if everything else in his life changes and goes away, that's the one thing he wants to protect.
Do you think
above
Tim
all things.
Lambesis has any shirts with
And so
sleeves?
my mindset was,
no. And I want to point out he's trying to say, like, he's trying to say that he initially started feeling this way because he lost custody of his kids. But I want to point out, as I was reading Megan Lambesis' statement, she said that after the divorce, while he was taking care of the kids, they would constantly be like, get in some sort of trouble because he wasn't actually looking after them. He would like pass out while watching them, and he only had like 10 hours of visitation a month, and he couldn't even handle that. So it's like, this is total like male posturing of like, I need to be a dad, I need to do this for my kids. It's like, no, you needed to do that. You're a fucking narcissist. You needed to do it for yourself.
Right.
Like sorry, I had like 7 thoughts come to my head at once, and I tried to blurt them all out. I'm constantly blown away by how he continually tries to push off responsibility for his actions. It happened from the moment there was the guilty verdict. I don't know if you remember. I remember. When there was the guilty verdict, Alt Press immediately published an interview that they conducted with him like a week before, which was his only interview. Black and Crustacean says Rob got distracted when he said male posture. Fair. His Alt Press interview was unbelievable in how much he was victim blaming for his actions at the time. He was putting it all on his wife for being like a bitch and whatever, and like saying these really fucked up things where it was impossible to sympathize with him. Now, clearly, by now, people have talked to him and explained why that's not a good way to go about things. Like, you look bad. So his new thing is to just be like, oh, it was my desire to be a father. But it's total bullshit. He had no desire to be a father, because when he had to be a father, he wasn't there. And what kind of a father takes their children's mother away from them? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, if he really was a father, how could he think that his kids' lives would be better with their mother dead than like any other way?
Well, he thought she was a bad mom.
All right.
That's
I
probably.
guess.
She flushed his steroids down the toilet.
Yeah, dare she? Imagine what she would do. She'd flush their Ritalin and then they'd fail in school.
But Rob, you're right. Like, he just talks in platitudes. You know, that's even when we were discussing this, like, you know, yesterday, planning out what we're going to talk about, and I was like, is this an interview or White Snake lyrics? Because it just sounds like the most cliched, like, way of talking about life. Like, he just has all this enormous life experience that a lot of us will never dream of having, and yet he's got the most mundane, like, basic bitch way of just thinking about anything.
Because I'm sure deep down inside he still thinks he wasn't wrong in what he did. But he doesn't want to admit that.
And it was him that was wrong, that he was manipulated into feeling this way and hiring this hitman. And his initial plea was not guilty.
Right. Well, I think you should hit on the main point, which is that he has learned nothing from this.
Yeah.
He's learned absolutely nothing. If the circumstances presented themselves again, he might do it again. Like, if he was no one else in the world knew what was going to happen but him with future knowledge, I think he would still do the same thing. Maybe hire better hitman. You know what I mean? Like, maybe like do it more carefully.
Yeah.
But not. I don't think he has learned that what he did was wrong.
And I was wanting to make another point, but I forgot. So let's just go back to the video.
Okay.
That was, I don't care what changes or goes differently in my life, but I want to maintain what's most important to me, and almost like the singular fixation on what was most important to me, regardless of how that affected anything else in the world. Yeah. I mean, I know it's a little bit vague, but that's the best I can really.
So, okay, he's literally saying I was being selfish. Like that he's saying it, but in like a meatheady philosophical way. He's saying I wanted what I wanted, and I didn't care who else it affected, including his fucking children, who he's saying he just wanted the best for. He didn't care how they would be affected by their mother dying. Quick Man Cometh says, I have friends in that scene that still ride for that dude, companies that do merchandise for that band, and it sounds like it just boils down to how that band made them feel at the time in their lives. I agree with you. There's a lot of people that were like really big fans of this band and just can't, like, it excuses all the action. You could still, the music could still have an effect on you, but you recognize the person doing it as an asshole. See Megadeth.
Yeah. Darren, you're muted.
Sorry, I'll go one further than you and say, like, because Dave Mustaine is a shithead with some lousy views, but I mean, he didn't try to murder anybody. What I would say is my comparison would be Michael Jackson, because Michael Jackson made up the soundtrack of my life until I was like 12 to 15 years old or more. And that actually had a real emotional impact on me when he was found to be a child molester. So I equate it to that. Like, and I still hear like a Michael Jackson song in the fucking Walgreens or something, and I instinctively just like get nostalgic, and I'm like, that's beautiful. Like, I think of good things, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, like this, I need to personally cancel Michael Jackson. But it's hard. Like, I understand that, but you know, I could never see myself being a staunch defender of Michael Jackson ever. I could see myself like instinctively, because music is a primal thing, you know, like I could see myself instinctively just jamming out to a Michael Jackson song and then catching myself. I could never see myself like Michael Jackson's a great person, how dare you, which I see online all the time, by the way, like people defending him, which is crazy to me. There's so much. I mean, it's so much. Open and shut case to me, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's get back to the quotes.
Really talk about it.
Yeah. And then obviously fast forward, shit, like all we have as outsiders is what we see on TV.
Yeah.
We're like the person that we least expected. I've shared a bus with you in all over Europe, damn near across the ocean.
And you didn't kill anyone's wife.
I know who you are, Tim, and I had.
Well, maybe he killed Cliff Burton with the
Oh
bus.
no! His wife had a similar haircut. It was accidentally. It was Cliff Burton who suffered.
Oh, poor Cliff.
Being back with my parents, I'm watching national television. There's Tim, and depending on, obviously, no matter, only you fucking know what exactly would happen in like a very tight circle. But when you're an outsider.
What are you saying?
I'm saying, relax.
I realize we're picking apart very small things here, but why does he have a Russian "ya" on his mug where it's supposed to be his name? What is that all about?
It's his tribute to Korn. The R is backward.
Okay. You've explained it. I've seen the light.
Mindsets that you could approach that is, okay, he fucked up, or what's wrong with Tim?
Yeah.
I mean, to say he fucked up is kind of minimizing the situation. It's not like fucking up is like, oh, I broke this very expensive thing, or like, oh, I missed a birthday. This is a little more than just fucking up. But okay.
Yeah.
But I understand. He's saying he was a close friend, and
But
like, how do you
again,
reconcile
this
it?
is another person that needs to like justify why he's still friends with an attempted murderer.
Mm-hmm.
Because he clearly has chosen to still be friends with this guy, and he needs to make that be okay in his mind. He needs to reconcile it somehow. So that's the gymnastics he's doing.
Yeah, and it's not like he's doing this interview like adversarially. Like I could buy that, like, hey, we used to be friends. I really can't. I despise what you did, but come on, and I'll talk to you. I'll give you a chance to air your views in the interest of the fact that we used to be friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
no, he's not.
He's avoiding those interviews because, like,
exactly.
people like Jamie Josta have said that. Like, hey, if you he will not do that, and so of course he knows this is a safe space because they are friends outside of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He's just going to where the softballs will be lobbed at him.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw. I just saw like a dude in his early 30s, and he was broken for all the reasons that you just pretty much laid out on the table very, very, very clearly. And people could go listen to this whole thing again and listen. I mean, it's very clear.
How about listening to his wife?
And we're now saying, I'm like, man, what?
That's what I never like for these people that make excuses for him. It's like, well, what about what his wife says? What about what she went through? Should we not have?
She's not in a band. What has she done for us?
She has long hair, probably.
Yeah. Hopefully not anymore.
What happened to Tim? Like holy shit! But
make it easier for someone to catch her.
Yeah,
who you were just based on the time I spent with you. I've had a long thought process before this conversation. Exactly what I think of you, which why we're talking, and that was like what was like Tim, like what was that like, man? I mean, I never been incarcerated. What was that like for you?
Yeah,
poor guy.
I think that my
must have been an
was
ordeal.
so isolated into my own mind and like disconnected from
you don't say
system that I didn't really.
Well, me and my cellmate bonded over our bitch tits, so it was really cool.
I think he was isolated in his mind before he was in prison.
Oh, I see.
Realize how much I had lost myself and who the core of who I really was. Like, it's like I was just one person for most.
I just never realized until just listening to him talk now how much he looks like Curtis Axel. Did you notice that? He looks exactly like Mr. Perfect's son. Oh, F you.
To my life.
I thought that was a dead-on comparison.
I had this very isolated, different type of mindset, and then have since returned to being, much of who I was the earlier part of my life, plus of course the added perspective of everything I went through.
But now, thankfully, I'm much back to the narcissist I was earlier in my life, but with the added perspective of I did nothing wrong.
I was able to recover that
when I lost my sense of like, don't know. I don't know really how to describe it other than say like I lost myself. I lost my way, and
yeah, no shit.
I sat there in a cell being like, how did I become this person? This is like, it like kind of blew my own mind. You know what I mean? Like,
you should have done that rather than try to kill your wife.
Seriously.
We just need to extract that part. But what I wanted to say is like he's again absolving himself of responsibility here by saying like his immediate previous actions was not him because he was outside of himself and being like, who are you, dude? This isn't me. You know, like he's already forgiving himself without at all having the reflection of like, why am I like this? You know?
and it's like as the mental cloud kind of like the fog like went away, and I could see clearly. It's just like there's so obviously 1,000 better ways that I could have gone through a divorce, or 1,000 better ways. That,
there are
only 1,000.
Wait, what are the worst ways that you could have gone through?
He successfully killed her.
Yeah, one worse way.
Yeah,
just one worse way. That is literally the worst way to deal with it, right? Yeah. Like what? I guess the an even worse way would be to also kill the kids. Like,
right.
Like what,
I guess.
What could possibly be more worse?
He did like the 4th or 5th worst way possible. Being bad at killing someone.
I think there's a typo here, but I like Shark Kitty. 1,000 better ways he could have spent $1,000.
I can't believe a hitman only cost it. So was that?
No, it was the down payment. It was the down payment.
All right. I was gonna say like maybe there was just the guy's not really a hitman. He's pretending, so he made up the wrong number, like Dr. Evil. You know,
did it work?
No,
I think $1,000.
I believe it was $10,000. So it
that
was
still
10%
seems low to take
payment.
a human life, doesn't it?
What do you think it should be?
I haven't really thought about it, but I don't know, $50,000. I just my initial reaction is that seems so low.
Shark Kitty, it was a BOGO deal.
Yeah,
he found it on Groupon.
The guy was trying to push it on him. He's just like trying to make money. He's like, the kids.
If you refer a friend and they buy a murder, the third one free.
How are the kids? Shitty? Are they all right? They're all right. They're cool. Okay.
All right.
Band members.
This is. I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not making any accusations. But what if the friend that he referred was this guy from Suicide Silence who wanted to bump off his lead singer?
Oh, stop it!
Pushed him right off the motorcycle.
Okay, I really don't feel comfortable, man. where these jokes are headed. Let's leave the Suicide Silence jokes out of it. Let's focus our ire on Tim Lambesis. Thank you.
Okay. Not Hector Garza.
Not Hector Garza. Hector Garza Sr. Hector Garza's dad died earlier.
Oh
this week.
No! Sorry.
Humberto Garza, rest in peace. R.I.P.
I don't know what you're talking about
He's
anymore.
A wrestler. I was making a joke because there's a wrestler named Hector Garza. Dusty Rhodes Muffler made that joke.
Okay.
I wanted to slip it in somewhere.
If I wanted to be, close with my family, or if I felt that burning of a father who felt, I think I can talk about, vaguely speaking, any father who loses his children, there's a burning feeling of just like, I'll do anything to fix this or to make this right or to maintain this relationship.
Or I'll just kill the person who's mad at me.
I'll do anything except for actually hanging out with them, showing them attention, paying attention to their interests.
Anything that doesn't require me to better myself, I will do it.
Yeah.
It's like that Jonah Hill gif where he's like,
yeah.
Also, I want to point out, based on how he's talking, clearly there is some sort of NDA aspect to this where he's not allowed to talk about his wife and kids.
How does that work?
Well, it's just in the settlement agreement or whatever.
So he just signed something where he agreed he can't publicly talk about.
Yeah, which makes sense because it's like he could get a book deal and profit off of this whole thing, So she doesn't want. Her lawyer probably put it in writing that he can't in any way profit off the name of her or her children. I'm assuming.
Fair enough.
Based on how vague he's being here and what he's saying.
Can we get him to sign an NDA that he's not allowed to talk about anything anywhere? That would be
Yeah, seriously, they should just be like any lyric he writes is in some vague way about the attempted murder, and therefore it can't be released. Because like those lyrics are so vague, you could say it means whatever you want it to mean, right?
Yeah.
So
You're good. Great point.
Good plan. Let's implement this.
But just because you feel like you would be willing to do anything to maintain what matters to you,
I think you would have been a good Herman Munster in the zombie.
He's got the voice and the dopiness for sure.
Lily. Grandpa.
Showed her those are your best options, and it's so clearly sitting there thinking in a cell, like, wow, I could have handled this 1,000 different ways. And like the fact that in my mindset, I thought at the time this was the best way to handle the situation. Like it blew my own mind. It's like, how did I even think that? Like, and it just was shocking, and there's really no.
It's just so funny to me that it took getting into the jail cell for him to wake up.
Right.
So
not the indictments, not the arraignment hearing, not any of the trial. Just
I guess at the indictment he felt he was being set up by this whole thing, like he was manipulated into hiring this hitman.
Man, it blew my mind. This whole trial blew my mind.
He's got quite a way with words, this lyricist.
Really, no defense or no way to.
Does he write the lyrics to the
to
songs?
take away what I did, other than that, thankfully there was actually no true physical harm of any kind, and I think that and knowing that I'm relatively young, I have the rest of my life to demonstrate to myself beyond other people.
Thank good.
Had line up a few more wives like a shooting gallery.
What's again? Here's what's so fucked up is like, thankfully, there's no physical harm. What about the mental harm?
Yeah,
like what about the harm that your fucking kids are going through now, and like their mom has to explain why they're never going to see their dad again.
Yeah,
what about the trauma? What about the trauma of these poor police officers that had to arrest one of their fucking heroes?
Yeah.
These poor guys.
They go through so much.
2 days probably didn't listen to As I Lay Dying because they felt bad.
They go through so
and then
much.
they remembered that they also beat their own wives, and then it's
he gave them basically inadvertent pointers on how not to kill your wife, to do it more carefully. I gotta say, I've had I'm still traumatized by my ex-girlfriend took my Beastie Boys Ill Communication CD and never gave it back. Imagine if she tried to kill me. I can't imagine how that would be processed by my brain.
How much more traumatic would that be than losing Ill Communication?
1,000 times more. It would be the 1,000th.
It would blow your mind.
It would be the 1,001 worst way of doing it. Yeah, possible.
Isolated dark thought process in my life, and if that is an isolated dark thought process over the course of 30, 40, 50 years, you'll see that. But I can't prove that to anybody.
You're already proving it's a lie based on how little responsibility you're taking for your actions.
Yeah.
Based on how you're trying to find any excuse, trying to paint yourself as this heroic figure who was just trying to do it for his kids. Fuck you.
Can I also say, based on this screenshot, it looks like he's on the RZA podcast.
It does. It really is. The mug.
Why does the RZA have the fucking Mitch Lucker photo in the background? What's going on?
RZA gets better gets than this.
Yeah, definitely.
Megan appeared
out of prison. Hey guys, I'm changed. I'm good.
Yes.
They have to say, hey, here's who you were for 32 years. Here's this dark period of your life, and here's who you are for the next 20. I have
the Mitch Lucker poster also sort of looks like if Tim Lambesis didn't do steroids.
Yeah, this one could have been you, buddy.
It's like the mall punk version.
He says I have at least 20 years, so he thinks he's gonna die when he's 55.
He's gonna fall into some more fires between now and then, Rob. You never know which one might be the last one.
Yeah. Oh, he's 41.
He keeps going to those beach events.
Yeah. Note to self: avoid shoreline at night.
These cut-off sleeve shirts are very flammable.
Yeah.
Maybe the sleeves were burned off. Is that possible?
Avoid Metallica pyro.
It is interesting from this angle. It does not look like he has the bitch tits, though.
Well, he's out in the world now. He's got it tight again.
Yeah, he probably had some lipo. Let's be honest. Well, I think he did actually. He that was in the in the court documents.
Not in those
Well, he'd be
cheeks,
like, you know
though.
what? Maybe he really did change. Maybe incarceration really did like.
It could be one of those.
You
one
didn't
of those
change
rare
at all.
instances where
The only thing you changed is your pitch is better. That you realize that you look like too much of an asshole blaming your fucking wife. That's the only thing that's changed. You're still a fucking asshole. You still haven't realized what you've done. Fuck you. No, fuck him. Also, you could really see the Botox right here with his eyebrows up.
Well, look at there's this big fat deposit, and then his cheek right next to it. So there's like two big lumps,
Zoom
like
in
right
enough.
there.
Yeah, right. Like these are the fill, but like I'm saying, like right here, you could see where. Can you see my mouse? That's where the needles for the Botox went.
He looks like Mickey
Drag queen
Rourke.
out of drag.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
Mickey Rourke 10 years ago is what I was going to say.
Yeah.
yeah, I could see that.
And in 10
There's-
years, he'll be Mickey
Actually-
Rourke now.
On Drag Race UK right now, there's a bearded drag queen that has a puffy face. It's almost identical to this.
Well,
Rob, confirm, please. I don't
Yeah, I
remember
see
her
it.
name, but
I see it more than Curtis Axel for sure.
I feel like it's very, very acceptable for a drag queen to have Botox.
oh
It's
yeah,
like,
for
you
sure.
know,
It's like the
Oh,
standard.
absolutely. Yeah.
Go for it. But this is it makes it
The
weird.
vocalist of As I Lay Dying, not so much.
actually helped an individual,
Yeah.
maybe I'm one of those rare cases, but I have 20 years to prove that. And so I'm not in a rush other than to be myself and let people see that slowly over time. And yeah,
I love that he's not in a rush to prove he's not a fucking psychopath. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, we could tell.
hate talking about it in any kind of contextual way because I feel like it might come across like I'm giving excuses. I'm not. I'm just telling people the context under which these things happen. That's it.
I'm not excusing. I'm explaining.
Yeah.
And it's such a terrible time for you because you're
Oh.
already, it seems like you didn't have a foundation, like you could talk to someone to help you with your thought
He's
process.
a grown fucking
Yes.
man. We're
And,
acting like he's an abused
now, like,
12-year-old.
Yeah.
You have no choice. but
Show me on the
to
doll
go
where
on
you
with
tried to shoot your wife.
Yeah.
really in a fucking cell. I mean, it's all you have is you and your feelings and your thoughts and all your unprocessed feelings you have when you're 5 years old.
Show me on the doll
and
how
like,
you
oh,
didn't
it's
buy
all-
dolls for your
all you
kids.
have. So there's plenty of time to process stuff. Like, were you thinking about your band members and what they were dealing with?
Oh my god.
I mean,
What
I
about
did
what your
spend
wife
a
was
lot of
dealing
time
with?
before my
Is
sentence.
Let me
there
come back.
possibly a less well-equipped person to interview this man than the person interviewing this man? Like, Jesus Christ.
Check him to see if he tried to get anyone killed. I mean, it's like,
Oh,
he's
no,
still
it's just-
sympathetic.
Well, I'm assuming.
Oh.
I'm
I just said
assuming
check. If he didn't do it, he's fine.
I'm assuming Chris didn't ask about what his wife felt because it's probably explicitly off limits. That's the
He'll walk
only
out.
right because it's so there. It's so there. He's clearly not mentioning her at all. She hasn't been mentioned at all. He would only say a father and their children. He
Yeah.
would never say my children or my ex-wife or whatever.
My
Trying
ex-wife.
to communicate with them to some degree to say, hey guys, like I won't be able to communicate when I'm gone, but I can communicate now. I'd love to sit down face to face with you guys and talk.
Mhm.
There was a brief conversation that I had with Jordan during that time,
Who?
and
The drummer.
it was during a very like traumatic time where it was just like an emotional sort of like blur to me,
Mhm.
and it was very short, and so I'm not saying that there was absolutely no communication at all. There was. I mean,
It was ill.
I couldn't even tell you the conversation. Because it was pretty short, and it was like right after
Making
some of
me
the
feel
events
that
while I
CD
was on
again.
house arrest waiting.
I think that's basically it. But let's see a little more.
My sentencing and stuff,
Mhm.
and
My sentencing and stuff.
I think the essence of what he wanted to say was, hey, I showed up. Like, I don't have anything to say. I don't even really know how to process this, but I showed up to like, to be here for a second. And then after that, he never really talked to me ever again, including largely after my incarceration when we were performing together as a band. We never really, addressed or talked about it between him and I, and so it's weird after all these years. I haven't talked to Jordan in like over a couple of years now,
and he's still in the
and I
band.
think in the aftermath
Is
of
he
that,
really?
Mm-hmm.
he's like, I want to perform in the band again, but I think when it actually came time to it, I don't know if he knew how to process not just things with me, but just so many things in his life. And some people's
He's just troubled
trauma
overall.
response
It's not about
is
Tim.
to shut down, and they just avoid, you know. And I think that's largely been his response.
So great to talk about other people's trauma.
You know,
and wait. So you're saying this person that he's talking about right now, they're still in the band together?
This is the only guy still in the band. Everyone else.
That is so fucking weird that he's saying this about him. That is so fucking weird.
I agree.
Talk about
like, do they get him on the phone now and have like a confrontation? Like, where is this going?
No,
I'm probably more so closer to that side, to where it's like, I'm never afraid to talk about something. I may stumble on my words. I may not even be able to articulate perfectly, but I will keep trying and trying and trying.
Here, so Tim, I'll explain to you what your drummer is going through. Try to imagine the self-loathing you must live with on a day-to-day fucking basis, where you are forced to work with this reprehensible piece of shit attempted murderer, and you want to leave, but you know that this is like your best path to like a career and to like money to feed yourself and your family.
And
so
also it's something you've sank 20 years into already.
So you're sort of like a prisoner of this, and you have to coexist with this piece of shit. And every day you wake up hating yourself that you're like enabling this, but you feel like you don't have a choice. That's what your drummer's going through. It's not other things in his life. It's all because of you, you fucking asshole. Like, probably. Come on.
That's fair.
Oh,
in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, your band just became more of how they, everyone, especially processing like that. So
they keep using these therapy terms like processing. It's nothing to process. They just fucking hate you, like legitimately and righteously.
But obviously, there is some.
It's been processed.
There was a point where like they started to come back around. Time. You know, and how was that for you?
Well, so for me, it was a different story with everybody, and I'll just give two very polar opposite examples. Jordan's whole thing was to be avoidant. You know, to like if I. After my incarceration, I spent a year working as a case manager at an addiction treatment facility, doing group therapy as well and stuff like that. And
can you imagine this guy leading a therapy?
I reached out to Jordan many times. I'd reach out to him like 2.5 months later. He'd say, "Oh, by the way, got your message. Just calling you back." But then we wouldn't really talk. It's so weird. It's a really weird avoidant situation. Weird. Like, I don't know where he sits. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you had Phil, who's a very direct communicator. And I never have to worry about him.
The guitarist. Not in the band
being
anymore.
Mysterious.
By the way, Phil's whole marriage fell apart because he rejoined the band.
And Dusty Rhodes Muffler says Garza needs a Mons to hang up on.
Oh my God!
You spend 2.5 hours waiting online. Then this is what you talk about. Amazing.
I want to hear. I just want to see this next subject is the discussion and rehabilitation. I'm guessing the discussion with the band. I'm just curious a little bit about this because this is what I don't understand how the band. I mean, I understand why the band forgave him, but I don't understand why the band forgave him.
Now, eventually, you did eventually come to an agreement that okay, we're all going to sit down and talk.
Yeah,
and that was rough to watch because you could just see like the hurt.
Yeah,
you see how hurt everybody is. Yeah, I mean Nick is just on his face, and
Nick not in the band anymore.
Phil have a
first
lot in
person
common,
to quit,
and I could tell how hurt he was just by looking at him. Only because he's like we're both like
everyone around you is
guitar players, and
how does that make you
from
feel?
People saying, "Hey, it's weird to me that you guys just put out one song and then didn't address the elephant in the room." And we said, "Well, dude, we don't know how to do it. Like, there's not like a statement we can give as a band, so we're just gonna put a camera up." You know, it's like very emotional to think back on.
Oh my God, he's crying.
Are you sure that's not like Botox sweats?
You're wrong because
well, he's actually not. There's not producing any tears because of the Botox. Wait, this is unreal.
But it's crazy that you guys all sat and talked. It's
so crazy. I just want to point out. I want to give context here. They just teased, "Hey, there's going to be a new As They Lay Dying song," and then the tease was, "Oh, who's in the band? Who's in the band?" And then they just released the video, and it's all the original members of the band. There was no statement. There was no nothing. There was no explanation. It was just like, "Look, here's our video," and for him saying like, for him to be like, oh, there was nowhere to talk. I'll tell you why. There was no outlet that wanted to give them the platform to talk.
Well, did he say there was nowhere to talk, or or there was nothing to say?
There was nothing to say. Oh, you're right. There's nothing to say. We're just like, how can you say there's nothing to say? All of your fans have been waiting
say?
for.
The reason that is happening is because they want money. What else is there
We'll
to say?
that.
Like,
They can't say that.
yeah.
Okay.
We hadn't done the album at that point. We hadn't worked out all the details. We just, we felt like there was
Tim's
some
not the
criticism
best
from
at
people
working.
saying, hey, it's weird to me that you guys just put out one song and then didn't address the elephant in the room. And we said, well, dude, we don't know how to do it. Like, there's not like a statement we can give as a band. So we're just gonna put a camera up. It's like very emotional to think back on. But
it's so weird that he's smiling and then crying.
He can't
like
do anything.
Like it's emotional. Like what?
Remember
You're
that
so
meme?
fucking weird.
Like Lindsay Lohan doesn't change facial expressions. That's Tim Lambesis also.
He doesn't have a choice.
but it's like,
good God,
his muscles are frozen.
Just gonna be raw because
we're gonna be Rob.
Healing takes a lot of years.
Man, you're right.
If Tim Lambesis shows up in Rob's little square on this video, I'm going to be very upset.
For all the guys, and you have all this history with each other. You guys were best friends at some point. Just playing music, and now you're at a table, just like talking about something that
attempted murder.
Yeah, I think there's a certain expectation of people when they come out of incarceration. You put them in a very, very traumatic situation, and you say, all right, I want you to go be locked up and treated like an animal for 3 years in state prison.
There's not a tear on him. Look,
what a horrible thing happened to you, Tim. I can't believe they treated you like an animal.
I want you to come out and just act and be and convince everybody close to you that you are healed in every single way. It's like, that's not possible. Like, I'm not going to sit here before my bandmates and say, hey guys, I did my time. And because I did my time,
I barely did any time.
Way.
How long was
more
he in
kinks
jail?
to work out?
It was like 2.5 years of an 8-year sentence.
Like, that's just not our system is not rehabilitative, so rehabilitation is possible, but it's from the love of friends and family and people who are close.
That I tried
it's
to
everyone
shoot.
else. It's from everyone else. It's not from me.
Everyone I lined up to be in a shooting gallery. Those people are necessary to the healing process.
Jesus.
Into the post incarceration process, I have I work with a nonprofit that I help co-found because of that. Because I think that's where the rehabilitation really truly begins, is not until somebody's actually out on parole.
Wow. Yeah, we don't really know what that process is.
Actually, we do. There's a lot about
like the success
about prison
rate.
reform.
Can this video be provided as evidence that he's breaking his parole? Because he's like assaulting my ears right now. And my eyes, honestly.
Tim, you're a very rare case.
Yes, he is.
I mean, there's
First
guys,
smart thing this guy said.
Struggle in the system their whole lives. There's the 2/3 recidivism rate of guys that are going to end up going back. And the irony of those statistics is that because of those statistics,
What are you fucking Serge Tankian now? Shut the fuck up.
That everybody is a repeat offender, but it actually goes into classifications of like what type of crime it was and all these types of things.
Yes.
And then with California as an example, we have overpopulated prisons, and so the federal government mandated.
Yeah, Dusty said Garza needs to do time for his interviewing. I agree with that.
And that's my personal opinion. People think we can't be defined by our darkest moments. That's so unfair. Than what I mean, we're all human. No one.
On the next episode of the Garza podcast, he's interviewing the head of the oversight committee, the House of Representatives Oversight Committee. They're going to get really deep into that stuff.
Oh, cool.
That'd be amazing to me if his whole podcast was just him interviewing people he has no business interviewing and he has no idea what to say or do for the whole time.
Yeah. You guys are humans, man. I just understand on a human level. You guys are just human beings trying to feel.
Also,
trade deficit.
And people don't understand the trauma of being on the House.
Yeah, he's gonna get like the CEO of Ben and Jerry's. It must be very hard to make ice cream, man. It's just like a human thing.
And then the Israel lobby came after you for supporting Palestine. How did that feel? Imagine.
Really, really terrible things. You know what I mean? And and I also met some people that never got caught for insanely terrible things. You know what I mean? And you can tell a person's sincerity. Of course, there's very, very manipulative people out there, but
like you.
Oh
you can
yeah.
tell, within a certain, I don't know, I'd probably say within 10 minutes of talking to somebody, if you address some of those issues and see how they respond.
This is a fair statement.
If you're not convinced enough in those 10 minutes, then watch them for 10 years. You know what I mean? But
oh,
wow.
Same.
Excuse me.
But
I've watched you for 10 years and these 10 minutes,
so,
and I've made up my mind.
If let's just say,
nothing's
10
changed.
years from now, I have some sort of repeat offense and do something terrible. It's obviously clearly not your
Does
fault.
this video count as something terrible?
Hey, I thought you deserve a second chance. Is that I proved them wrong, but for me, I have nothing but confidence in that. I am finally the person in life that I want to be, and it took me.
Oh my God,
just
right now.
so happy incarceration. I mean, it was. Even this past year and going through COVID, a lot of stuff.
Dusty Garza has worse follow-ups than Rob.
Come on.
He also said, "Get this guy to be the new host of the Daily Show." That's an improvement. That's an improvement.
And,
yes,
man, I've repeated this so many times, but
I think Dusty should be a
hates
correspondent.
me and they want to keep hating me. They're wasting their effort because if they sit back and watch, it's gonna just. Time will tell. Everything comes out in the wash, as they say.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, Tim, just all you can do is keep going.
Yeah, all you can do is keep trying to kill your wife.
A lot of,
well, that's not true. He could stop and just blow his head off. That's one thing he could do. That interview was one step above Brian Fellow Safari Planet. I feel like.
No, that Brian Fellows is more
Fellows.
combative. He challenges the guests once in a while.
That's a good point.
Garza's
right.
not doing anything like that.
I just meant in terms of inanity of the question.
Yeah, yes. Oh my God, that was uncomfortable and horrible.
A fun ride down memory lane.
It's evergreen. I never get tired of seeing the cringe of his life.
Yeah. He seems to be doing great though.
Oh yeah. Except for his tear ducts.
Oh my God. Quick little palate cleanser. Here's some Kid Rock lyrics from a movie, a kids movie, Osmosis Jones.
Now some people say my mind's blown. I'm cooling like a snow cone. And my cell phone, I'm pagey. Can't call me, just page me. Young ladies, I like them underage. See, some say that's statutory, but I say it's mandatory. My story ain't that complex.
What?
What is this? What?
Osmosis Jones.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that shocking anybody?
And that was what was that guy's name? Joe C? The little person that used to be his... Wow. Cool.
What's going on, Warner Bros?
I mean, the guy looks up to Ted Nugent. Are we surprised?
Yeah. Seriously. Well, makes sense.
Fair.
But to put that in a cartoon, damn.
That
is actual grooming.
But Osmosis Jones is like an adult cartoon. Not that it should be in any movie, but I'm saying it's not like a kid's movie.
I don't think I ever saw that.
Yeah. It's whatever.
Is it an Eddie Murphy?
No, it's Chris Rock.
Okay.
Rock.
Oh wow.
Chris Rock is the lead actor, voice actor. It's pretty good. It's all right. It's good, except for that me not remembering the statutory rape song. But I guess I didn't notice that at the time.
Will Smith should come out now and say that that's why he slapped Chris Rock. Everybody would be on his side retroactively.
But he said, keep my... So is his wife underage secretly? We just didn't know?
Maybe at that time. No, I guess she wasn't. She's pretty old. Never mind. But Will Smith has a daughter.
That's true. Good point.
As a father of a daughter, he stood up.
Good for him. Very heartwarming.
Men who don't have daughters do not believe in women's rights.
It's typically true.
The only way you would is
the three of us don't believe in women's rights.
We're not fathers of daughters.
Some men who do have female daughters, they do not like women's rights.
It's also true. Sure, Kitty, only women's wrongs.
Women, right? Am I right?
Speaking of a person who believes in women's rights, Dan Crenshaw.
Oh boy.
What'd he do now?
Well, it's voting season, election day, a few weeks away. Big
Cannot
midterms.
wait. Can't wait. Such a big day in our country.
It's the most important election of our lifetime.
Right.
And so hold on. Did I not paste it correctly? I didn't. Give me 1 second. So Dan Crenshaw has a new ad where he is shouting out other Congress people in Texas that he's giving his endorsement to. So here it is. And here we go.
Oh boy.
The mission has changed.
Just that part right there.
Oh no, he pulled up his eye patch.
This is the part where I'm like, is this fake? Is this not a real but no, so for our audio listeners, Dan Crenshaw famously has an eye patch. And this fucking performative dipshit is doing it because he lost it in the war. And I think it was like, he barely was in the war, but he lost it because he's a fucking coward. I like winners. I like guys who get out of war with both their eyes. Okay. Thank you.
And it hard to disagree with Trump on that one.
And famously rose to national prominence when right after being elected, Pete Davidson made some jokes about him on SNL, not mentioning, as far as I recall, that he was one-eyed.
No, I think
he did. I forget what it was, but I remember
like
I remember the jokes were not at all about his eye. The jokes were about how he's a shitty fucking politician, and then he had to go and apologize to him next week on the air.
Yeah,
gross. And anyway, so here he is raising the eye patch, and there's like facial recognition coming out of his fucking busted eye.
So he's like the Terminator.
And the machine says I can't recognize an eye in this position. So sorry.
Yeah, so he can't use Face ID on an iPhone, I guess.
The mission has changed.
So weird.
The situation is more dire. There's a crisis at our southern border, and it's getting worse.
Is it?
The Little Mermaid is black.
These sounds.
It's time for a new generation of leaders.
Sesame Street has a gay puppet.
Notice all these women are Latino.
Yeah. They know what they're doing. Listen, look, Trump got like 35% of Latinos or some high number.
It blows my mind. It blows
It's
because these conservative Latinos.
Because Latino is not one
Of course.
amorphous thing. Like, it's like different groups of people, and a lot of them can't stand each other, just like in the United States. White people don't all fucking like each other.
Yeah.
A lot of Latinos hate the immigrants that are coming over the border. They're like, I came in, I filed a fucking form, I did a citizenship test. Why don't you motherfuckers have to do that? So that's their opinion. That's their like stance on it. So they like the fucking Republicans.
Yeah.
But also, the Democrats are doing the same shit. Like, so, like, can you really? It's just like it blows my mind. But it's the most important election of my lifetime. Just want to make sure. Should I say that? Hashtag girl boss.
That's Dan Crenshaw. And then Darren, what's this Hebrew street performer that?
Say again, what?
This Hebrew street performer that you linked us to.
Hebrew street performer. I don't know.
David Kerner.
Oh, that guy. Oh, it wasn't in Hebrew. It was Yiddish. That's why he threw me off.
Oh, okay.
I just saw this guy who was singing a parody of La Bamba, but it was about building a sukkah on the Jewish holiday of Sukkah. There he is.
And this is him performing in the subway, and the video is sideways for some reason.
This is how he presented it.
Love that he has freedom on his guitar.
But then I was looking around at his songs, and a lot of them are like anti-Palestinian.
Oh no!
Shocker.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Hamantashen.
Hey, Mr. Hamantash. I bet you that's what that is.
He's got the colorful suspenders.
It's a little like Richard Dreyfuss.
Think if Richard Dreyfuss had a stroke.
Mr. Hamantash, play a song for me. It's Peru, and I'm sitting at the Suda.
Oh my God.
Mr. Hamantash, play a song for me. Crinkle Crocker morning,
I haven't had a chance to like dig through this.
Now take me reappear.
But here's the thing. So this is the worst kind of parody there is. It's where you take a song and you just decide this is the good song to use. You don't evaluate it in any way, and then you drop things you care about into the song that no one else cares about in the world. It's the worst kind of parody making.
Mm-hmm.
But look, it got him on our podcast.
Wait, there's a
Finally,
Shana
he made
Tova
it.
song.
Oh,
Here we go.
Very, very delightful.
Ooh. Right by the kosher
On the
fish market.
streets.
This is where I saw him.
On this actual corner?
This exact corner.
Oh, wow.
I'm assuming he's there a lot. This wasn't that day because he has different clothes on.
Just been listening to way too much Bob Dylan. All right.
That's really. Do something else, buddy. Something in the last 50 years, at least.
Next time you see him on that corner, you should spot where he's got his camera set up and just run by and grab it and just jet. And then just toss it in a trash can 3 blocks away.
How long before he tries to have his wife murdered?
Oh, like maybe he already did. Maybe that's why he has to set the camera up on the street.
She was always
somebody holding the camera.
She was like, "Get a job! You're standing on the corner singing about Shana Tova."
Mr. Hummentashen is the man that she left him for.
Mr. Hummentashen, I could go buy a Hummentashen at the bakery. I don't need to hear a song. For
Yeah, when was the last time you brought me a Hummentashen?
Yeah.
You get it for nothing, you bum.
Go make some money so I can have a real Hummentashen. Ya Chaim Toit Schmuck. I don't know if I ever said this on the air. My grandmother once told us a story about some couple that they knew, where the woman's the wife's affectionate or like her critical, like lovingly critical name for her husband was Chaim Toitschma. His name was not Chaim. It was like calling someone Joe asshole. Okay. You know what I mean? Like Chaim Toitschma, and Toitschma means dead penis. Toit means dead in Yiddish.
Wow, interesting.
So then it became a thing with my mother and I thought, because that was my mother's mother. My mother and I thought that was so funny that it kind of became a running inside joke with me and my mother that someone did like made a dumb driving decision or anything. We call him Chaim Toitschmuck for like 20 years. Hey, Chaim Toitschmuck, what the fuck are you doing?
Tim Lambesis is a regular Chaim Toitschmuck.
Oh.
Absolutely, maybe literal with all the steroids he did.
Yeah.
Darren, you were also mentioning that you were on some public transportation earlier this week.
Well, I was going to bring that up because my song choice is related to that, so I was going to do that at the end when we do that part.
Okay. Wanted to make sure we got to that.
Sure.
Also, big news. I know we have a lot of Five Finger Death Punch fans that listen to the show. But Ivan Moody, who is the frontman, has announced that he's going to be doing one more record.
Oh, thank goodness.
With Five Finger Death Punch and then retiring.
I was walking on eggshells hoping he would do that.
He's just going to do the poetry full time?
The children's books with the art, finger painting art.
I just imagine like they're so rich beyond words, he doesn't really have to work anymore. You know?
He doesn't just love the music. He doesn't love the fans.
He absolutely does not, because this is totally a boy band, essentially, like a metal boy band. It was put together.
Really?
And yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like when you say boy band, like you're kind of taking liberties with it, but it was assembled by the studio, right? Is what you're saying.
A label assembled or a management group assembled them, and then they had a bunch of writers come in and kind of create the sound for them and all this. It was
didn't have to happen organically.
No, it's not like they fucking toured they were all from other bands in LA, and they were brought together because they're reliable musicians, and they got a big push behind them.
So like it was assembled in the same way as a boy band. Like they weren't marketed though as like having sex appeal or anything, right?
Right. Yeah, that's how I mean it, in the sense of everything was already determined initially without their input.
Ivan Moody's sex appeal is self-evident. It doesn't need to be marketed. Darren.
And the thing
He's
is,
just
it's like
there.
as much of a celebrity as Ivan Moody is, the name of the band isn't Ivan Moody and the Five Finger Death Punch. The name of the band is Five Finger Death Punch. They're gonna get a new frontman and they'll be fine. You know,
You
like
think?
people don't fucking give a shit.
So he's not saying the band is ending. He's just saying he's leaving the band and he's okay.
He's
if
retiring.
replaced.
He brings nothing to the band. Like I could do that. I'm not a great singer. I could do that shit that he does. Bad Company. You know what the fuck is there? There's no talent there. I mean, maybe there's a talent to staying on key. You know, maybe all right, fine. Like maybe
does he do that?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good enough. You know, it sounds like a song. It doesn't sound like the bottom of the barrel music. It's just mediocre and dumb. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think there's a talent to that, somewhat, but it's not like irreplaceable.
Are they still like run by the label, or are they their own self-contained
No, they're
entity
like
now?
well, it's the management company, but they're far more in control. They're far
So
more.
now they actually write their own music and lyrics and stuff, and make creative
Yeah.
decisions. Okay.
Yeah.
The
So maybe he won't get
appeal has
replaced.
left Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah.
I don't
So-
think he
Never.
writes the lyrics though. I believe Zoltan
Oh.
Bathory.
I said, I'm sorry. I,
Zoltan sing?
I played that over you. What were you
That's
saying?
fine. Can Zoltan sing? Maybe they just let him be the singer. And they could have all the anti-vax, anti-mask videos and songs, and he could go
Yeah.
hog wild.
This is just way too metal in this episode. There's just too much aggro, like dick holding, like I don't know. So now Quick Man come and said Tommy Vexed is going to take Ivan
Oh
Moody.
my god!
That's too over. I can't allow that on this show. Sorry, no.
He
Tommy
absolutely
Vext.
won't. He absolutely won't. They don't like him. He's been like essentially excommunicated. He's on his own.
Well, who doesn't like him?
All the members of Five Finger Death Punch.
Don't like Tommy Vex?
Bad Wolves were managed by the same management company. By Zoltan was one of the guys that managed Bad Wolves.
Okay.
So
that's their
and
connection.
he got kicked out of the band because he was started doing all that MAGA shit.
But isn't Zoltan sort of cool with that stuff?
Yes, but
He knows how to rein it in. I think.
he wasn't doing. Zoltan isn't going around talking about George Soros and
Right.
all that stuff.
All right.
Like I
He
think,
lets
I
a
think
few
there's
things
a
slip. You know.
well, no, and I don't think he's anti-Semitic. Zoltan Bathory.
I think when
believe
when you're in Five Finger Death Punch, you have to know how to like, or any band like that. Like you have you that's the kind of band where some of your members like that shit, like right wing stuff, and a lot of others don't, and they just like the music. And you gotta like put some in so that you can. It's like a marketing formula.
Mhm.
You gotta slip some of it in and know when not to go full crazy.
Yeah. Because you still want that broad-based appeal.
So I think that's
Okay,
Zoltan is
fair.
good at that, and Tommy Vext is not good.
So let's talk about our Spotify playlist. Every week, we each pick a song, and we throw it up on Spotify in something we call the RIPA Livecast Music Break. And Darren, why don't you go first since I already spilled the beans?
Well, so the story you were referencing was that I was on the train, and there were two, I would say, if I had to guess, 15-year-olds who were. First of all, this is a pet peeve of mine. When people listen to music, first of all, that when people listen to music on the train without earbuds or anything,
Yes.
Absolutely. I don't know how this became a thing.
it's everywhere now, and it's mostly young people. It's not like boomers who don't know the etiquette of like.
It's weird. Yeah, it's definitely just young people. I feel, and also like young people watching TikTok now.
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
Like, it started. I feel like it all started. My first irritations of this was when people would just take a phone call on speaker on the train, which I'm just
Yeah.
like, we don't all need to hear your conversation. And then it evolved into the music. I don't know what's worse, if they're playing the music out of their speakerphone or if they have headphones on and they're rapping at the top of their lungs along to the music.
Yeah.
I can't decide which is worse.
And sometimes
I think the rapping is worse.
sometimes it's so loud in their headphones that you can hear the actual song as if it was.
Oh
being
my
played
God.
out.
I hate that.
But anyway, regardless, these people, the two 15-year-old boys, were playing Fleetwood Mac. And it wasn't like a Fleetwood Mac song came on or anything. It was like a playlist, all Fleetwood Mac, all the top singles. And I remarked to Rob and Sid over a chat that we have that this is both horrifying and life affirming to me. That first that they were blasting it, but on the other hand that they had good taste in music. And Sid immediately said they don't have good taste in music because Fleetwood Mac is fucking mom rock and it's terrible.
For a 15-year-old today to be listening to Fleetwood Mac is not good taste in music to me.
I understand where you're coming from.
A 15-year-old in 1978 listening to Fleetwood Mac, fine. But now, come on.
What are the alternatives in current pop music? I feel like everything is worse than Fleetwood Mac currently, almost, with a few exceptions.
But at least it's of the time. It's worse for us because it's not aimed at us. It's aimed at those 15-year-olds, so it should be great for them.
I just don't. I something in me like says if they're seeking out older music, that's a good thing. I know most of my peers when I was 15 did not do that, and I see a lot more of it now.
But just like what kind of like when you're 15, you're like angsty and you want like aggressive what kind of life are you living as a 15-year-old that you want to listen to Fleetwood Mac? Like, I can't even wrap my head around it.
Maybe they're not angsty, Sid. Maybe they have very good lives and they can just listen to music sonically because they're so happy.
Going to hell in a handbag.
Because they're not doomed. They don't hate themselves enough.
We are doomed.
But anyway,
they don't have to hate themselves. Hate something.
I actually do like Fleetwood Mac. It's like
I like him as well.
Turning off your brain music. It's not like full engagement music. It's like something I could put on the background, and I like it. And they have lots of different styles. Like you could put on one album, and there's like a psychedelic song, and there's like a pop, like yacht rock song, and then there's a blues, like heavy blues song, which is what I played today, called Rattlesnake Shake, which is this heavy blues song about jerking off.
Because, oh my God!
Because you can't get laid. Which is really cool.
Okay, if the 15-year-olds were listening to that would make sense.
They were listening to all one after the other, the singles, the highest.
And I will say, like, I don't think like Fleetwood Mac is a shitty band. It's not for me, but I appreciate what they do. I think the thing that is the biggest like mental block for me, I just can't get into the vocals. Like Lindsey Buckingham's voice or like Christine McVie's voice. Stevie Nicks fine, but the other two, their vocals kill me. It just sounds so dated and like.
I understand your point there.
When I was a young kid, one of my friend's moms like listened to Fleetwood Mac religiously, so I have it like connected to just like mom music. I can't bridge that gap.
Funny.
But I acknowledge that they wrote like hugely beloved songs and they have good like songcraft and all that stuff, but it's just not for me.
I also want to say you almost got me in trouble, Sid, because I was in class Friday, yesterday, and this had happened before, and for some reason, I think we watched 8th grade as a class.
Love that movie.
Watch it privately, and then we come to school and discuss it. And we had the music supervisor from 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
So that's awesome. Why we watched the movie. Was a really cool guy and had like so much shit to say. He like stayed for like 50 minutes in the class and just answered questions. Like it was a really cool class. But like it came up that like kids listen to, for some reason, there's a generational divide between like closer and closer ages of kids, like a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old are way farther apart now than they were like years ago. Okay. And I mentioned that story, and I mentioned mom rock because you put mom rock in my head, which I don't think is an insult. I like mom rock, and my mother listened to Fleetwood Mac. I see it as reverent, it's a good thing. The professor is like a middle-aged mom, and I think she took a little. She's like, I like Fleetwood Mac.
Well, then. Yeah, and she's a mom, so isn't she proving my point?
But I just don't want to offend her because I really like the class. I think she's fucking great. And I stayed after class on the Zoom call, and I was like,
apologize.
Not to apologize because I stand by what I said, but I just said I love mom rock and I love Fleetwood Mac and I love your class. And I hope you're not mad at me. So, oh no, it's such a pleasure to have you in my class. Like it was a very heartwarming, touching moment. So
nice. All right, good.
So you almost got me in trouble, but then you didn't.
You saved it. Very good. All right.
Sounds like you're Tim Lambesis Sid here. You're the one that got yourself in trouble there.
Yeah, I take partial blame. He put the. You're right, Rob. I that's a fair point. He put the phrase in my head, but I produced it from my.
You're the one that did the. Yeah.
Speaking of which, check out the Garza podcast next week when Darren will be the guest.
I will. Right in front of a gigantic fucking Mitch Lucker pee into his existence while overshadowing anything.
It's like the tattooed angel on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Don't kill your wife. Just hide her motorcycle helmet.
That would have been the way to go.
Course.
The way to go.
Why does he sound like Ralph? Or
He's
not
an
Ralph,
angel. He's a little angel now. He got to have a little sweet angelic voice.
He sounds like the smart kid. What's his name?
He's a baby Mitchell.
Or Chester the
smart kid
molester
from The Simpsons.
Oh, sure. Oh, what was his name?
Martin.
Martin, that's it.
Why did I want to say Nathan?
Anyway, my pick is Frontline Assembly. I continue my journey of hardness, of industrial, of goth with Frontline Assembly. And there's
Journey of hardness.
Industrial. Yeah, that's right.
That's also your grinder history.
And I'm digging them. FLA are pretty rad. They're right up there with KMFDM and Ministry and all those. Enjoying it. So I picked Killing Grounds. Sid, what did you pick?
I watched a documentary about the seminal all-girl punk rock band The Slits earlier this week. That's streaming for free on Amazon Prime. And I was never really
You
a huge
can't
fan
call
of
them
theirs.
that. Oh, the Slits. The Slits. I'm sorry.
What did you think I said? Sluts?
Oh my God.
I'm sure that word is used in the documentary numerous times.
I think that's intentional, but go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't think they can be seminal because isn't that word like come
All right, fair. Touche. But yeah, I never really got into them. I always appreciated like what they stood for and who they inspired, but I never got too deep into them. But the documentary was very interesting, and I picked one of their more punky songs from their early days before they got all like dub reggae influenced. It's a song called Split. It's a live version by the Slits. It's a good fun song. That was my choice. Oh, by the way, RIP this week in honor of Tim Lambesis stands for Reflect in Piss.
Like it.
I know you're wrapping up, but Rob, have you ever talked about Electric Call by ST-Tam? No, I don't think so. What is that? I don't even know what that is.
Google it.
Like a band or something?
Looks like, yes, it is a band.
Oh, it's a German band. Oh my goodness.
Oh, okay. Well, he's gonna talk about it next week. That's for sure.
Yeah, that'll be the playlist song next week. This looks.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'll look into it and get back to you.
Is this better or worse than Einstürzende Neubauten?
Probably worse.
Oh, I've been getting into them actually, because some of their, the new stuff is a little croony, but if you go to like the late 80s, early 90s, they get past the Blue Man Group stuff and actually do some cool industrial stuff. So it's fun.
The Blue Man Group croons?
Well, I don't know if we talked about it. Like their early stuff sounds like Black Flag meets Blue Man Group. And then their newer stuff just sounds like old man crooning. Like it's like it's that.
Rammstein.
So it sounds completely different.
All right.
How about 808 State? You like them?
No.
I'm just announcing electronic bands from the 90s that I know of.
But I'm assuming they use an 808, so that's amazing, and I will absolutely listen to them.
Hey, let me know what you think.
I love the 808 drum machine.
Because all I know is the name. I have a catalog of different bands from when I worked in record stores all through the 90s, and that I've never heard a second of. That's one of them. Although Einstürzende Neubauten I had heard before. Maybe. I'm
going to we also have our top Livecast fans of the week. I want to mention our Patreon, patreon.com/RIP Livecast. $5 a month gets you 2 bonus episodes a month. We just posted one up. What was the bonus episode?
Theodore Rex, was it?
Yes, we did a watch along of the brutal Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg. She's weeping. She's in that movie.
Weeping Goldberg sued into forced to be.
That's my favorite meme, the Weeping Goldberg meme.
Anyway, the movie is terrible, and we had a really fun time roasting it. You can watch along with us. What do we do at the top of the month? My memory has
Munsters?
escaped me.
Yes, that's
Yes,
right. It
we
was
did a
all
roundtable
Halloween
discussion.
themed.
Yes, about the Munsters, which was not a good movie. Our discussion is far more entertaining than watching the actual movie. Just listen to us rant about it for an hour, and we have 2 years worth of episodes. We have dozens and dozens of great, funny, hilarious, timeless bonus episodes in there. We have watch-alongs. We have inductions into the Livecast Meme Hall of Fame, where we revisit some of our favorite funny moments and topics. Stuff like
Are you
that.
okay?
I'm getting a little burpy.
Little,
I have to
acid
catch my
reflux.
breath. And I want to mention, of course, so that's $5 a month. If you want to throw us an extra $5, you get to be a top Livecast fan. And that means every week at the end of the show, you get a shout out, which is right now. And I'm going to do the shout out as Tim Lambesis wronging these people and not really apologize.
Okay.
And remember that he can hardly move his mouth because of facial.
Yeah, get yourself all puffy.
And so I will say, Eric, I was looking outside of myself and I couldn't believe I punched you in the face. Benjamin, I was reflecting about what I did when I threw El Duderino and Dan R into you. And I figured, that wasn't your fault, Benjamin. That was Sam I Am's fault. And we all got together, and I'm getting a little emotional about it, but I put on Mindy Mayer's kippah and I said, Jander, you need to take a look at yourself. And you need to look at your suits. And you need to realize that we need to find God. And God is Robert Kanush, aka Justin.
It's weird. I don't see any tears coming out. Tim.
No.
I'm getting really emotional right now when I talk about Cattle Decaf and Robert Vampiro. And, as a father, any father named Hugo likes tacos. But you sit there, you're lost in your Lando Danks, and you call for a LaCroix, and you really miss Corey and Scotty H, but then you think, what can I do? Why do I feel like Doug Pigman? And I just want to say, who are you, Douglas Levison? That's what I said to myself in that prison cell. And I looked up and I said, God, could you hear me? And God said, hey guys, it's Josh. And I said, whoa, God.
Wow, that's great. Well, this wraps up the Chris Garza podcast. Tune in next week when my guest is Jared Fogel. We'll be talking about all the people who wronged
all his
him.
childhood trauma.
Yes.
All right, that's our podcast.
And how rough it is to be incarcerated.
We hope you enjoyed the show. We will see you next week.
Bye.